let me just explain to the audience who Vidhie is.
Yeah.
Vidhie is your daughter.
Right.
And Vidhie writes a book called The Devil's Daughter.
Yes.
Vidhie is asked by some family members of Peter Mukerjea, your former husband, to call you Lucy, which is shorthand for Lucifer, which is the devil.
Right.
So she writes a book called The Devil's Daughter.
Right.
This is your own daughter.
Right, right. So she did that, obviously, with a lot of, I think there was a lot of instigation behind that. I think her book was a bit different. But at the same time, the moment she reached out to me, and she reached out to me with incidents that happened, which I have elaborated in the book. I think if you've read the...
I read the whole book.
Yeah, so you know what happened while I was away in prison. You know what happened to her. So she went through something very similar. So the moment she reached out to me, I did not think twice, and I gave her the support that I needed to give her as a mother, because she needed that emotional support. So that is what I believe that mothers need to be.
And we'll get to that, because you're a mother who was accused of basically murdering her daughter.
Right.
But you brought that daughter up, telling the world, except for a chosen few, that daughter was your sister.
Yes.
I mean, you see how convoluted this sounds even as I tell the story. In the book, you explain why this was so. You say that because Sheena was born from rape, your mother suggested that your mother and your father...
That is in my charge sheet as well.
I understand. But, to read it as a narrative in one go is a very different impact. I do have to say that. Why did you feel the need to hide from the world two things? And I don't mean when you were young. I mean later. One, that you had been sexually assaulted by your father. And two, that the girl you called your sibling was actually your daughter.
Okay, let me answer that. Firstly, I never hid those details from people who were close to me.
When did Sheena find out?
Sheena got to know about it, I think, when she was much older, obviously. Sheena knew about it, but I think she was already an adult by then. So it was never hidden from Sanjeev. It was never hidden from Peter. So I think people who matter to me, I had never felt the need to hide it from them.
These were the two men you married and divorced.
Yeah, of course. I think they are important to me. Vidhie was a child, so it was not important at that. Not important, I would have told her at the appropriate time. But I think these are things which are very disturbing, as you said yourself. So you get a shudder every time you think about it. And people tend to forget that all these things happened when I was a minor, and I was not in control of circumstances and situations. Decisions were taken for me. I was neither financially or economically sound to take those decisions. I couldn't pick up Sheena and just say, okay, I have 5,000 rupees in my account. I was still a student. I couldn't do that. That was one. Secondly, I think because their life was so settled, as on record they were, my parents' kids, and that is how it remained, because that is what they also chose. So decisions are not just taken by one person. So it is not about me hiding. It is not about hiding. It is, for example, when Sheena worked with Reliance, and this came out in court. So there were so many, rumors about, how grieved she was about the fact that I was kind of not on record, her mother, or I chose. These are rumors. Sheena never said any of it to anybody. I had a perfectly fine relationship with Sheena as long as she stayed with me.
How did she find out that she was your daughter?
I will come to that. Let me just complete this part. So when this is only in court, I realized all of this, that when she had filled up the Reliance forms in, for family. So she was 23 years old then. she had voluntarily filled up as a child of, Upendra Kumar Bora and Durga Rani Bora, and she nominated my mother to be just, they have this whole insurance thing and all of that. So, and the HR head of Reliance actually came and deposed in court, and he said that she had at no point ever told us that Indrani Mukerjea is a mother, because this was a question.
But did she know at that stage?
Yeah, of course.
She knew.
Yeah. She knew by the time she was.
Did you tell her, or did someone else tell her?
No, I know that by the time she was about 14, one of my cousins had spoken to her.
But did she know that you had been raped?
No, at that point, no, but she got to know about it much later from one of my uncles. So this was later, I think just before she disappeared. So this was around 2011, which is when she touched base with me. And this is, though it's not exactly mentioned in an email, there is an email that I had received and where she kind of says that, I am really sorry, I found out now that what really happened, I got to know, and I'm really, really sorry for not having been in touch with you. And that is when she reconnected, because she had gone to Guwahati and one of our family people had spoken to her and said that this is what actually happened. And obviously she was very sad about it, very, very sad. And she had spoken about this to Rahul, I'm aware of it.
Rahul is Peter Mukerjea's son and the man she is dating.
She's dating, correct. So she did speak to him, because she very categorically told me about this when she met me after that, or even on phone calls, that I have shared this with Rahul. And but all these things, never really came out. Even the Mukerjea family chose not to talk about this because it didn't work in, I suppose, their favor. So
now you have said,
yeah,
and there's a lot to ask, but let's start with your claim that your daughter, who you are accused of killing, is actually alive.
I haven't claimed. There are people who have who say they have met. So
or
it is
seen
not,
her.
Met.
Oh, met. Okay.
See, the seeing her is very different from meeting. Okay, so it is not my claim. So let me just correct that, because I've seen also reports Indrani Mukerjea claim. So it is not my claim, because I will claim it only when I personally meet her.
Right.
So there are 2-3 people who have said they have met. Again, I'm correcting it. And somebody has gone to the extent of taking a video of that, which was submitted in court, along with an affidavit of that lady, who is a very renowned lawyer in India. So, and post that, the Honorable Court had, because we had applied for a CCTV footage from the airport, which is now in a sealed envelope in the court, which will be used at the right
Why
time.
would she be in hiding? She's your daughter.
So that is what really baffles me, honestly, because I cannot for the life of me figure out that despite knowing that I have been in prison for 6.5 years, and I've gone through a lot of grief in the process, why would she choose to really not come out in the open? However, Barkha, I must also add to it, which I think in the previous interview with you, Sana had already explained, and now it has come on record, because in the previous interview, Rahul Mukerjea was had still not deposed. Now it has come on record that there were, a series of text messages which were exchanged in between Rahul Mukerjea and Sheena in the month of September 2012, which is well after
the body. The police says they found the body.
Yeah, so after the alleged murder. That has come on record, which is why I believe that the Honorable Court was very, very quick in allowing the application to retrieve the CCTV footage. Because immediately there was absolutely no kind of... and the moment the Honorable Judge saw the footage on her phone, I don't know if it's a standard procedure or what it is, I don't know, but they said, no, we cannot.
But you do know that Rakesh Maria, the top cop whom you also write about in your book, he said at one point to the press that your former husband, not Peter but Sanjeev, had actually confessed to his role in this murder.
He said a lot of things, so there must
he being Rakesh Maria?
Yeah, Rakesh Maria said a lot of things, but there must also be a reason why, I think the authorities felt that he was not capable of continuing with the investigation. There must be a reason, which is why he was removed from the investigation. That is what I feel. And it also appears that, which I have mentioned in my book, that what he has written in his book contradicts even my charge sheet. So, Barkha, each of these Rakesh Maria story or my charge sheet, these are all speculative theories and allegations. So I have learned one thing in life now after spending so much time, that everything works, and I only believe in evidence.
Yeah.
So there is, again, the entire evidence is just so ridiculous.
So let me say this. Obviously, the court will determine guilt and innocence. As a journalist, I can only ask the questions.
Yeah.
What leaps out in the book is how you actually repeat all the terrible things that were said about you. You do a chronicle.
Yes.
You quote Tavleen Singh, for example, saying that she thought you were one of the coldest, right?
Cruelest human beings
on the planet. One of the cruelest human beings on the planet.
And she never really justifies why I am the cruelest human being. And Tavleen Singh has perhaps just met me once in her entire life at a friend's dinner. I've never even had a conversation with her. She doesn't know me.
But what really comes out in the book is a kind of, tell me if I'm using the right word, a defiance, right? I find the narrative filled with defiance against other people's judgments of you, whether it comes to personal morality, which you feel you've been judged with, the affairs you had, the relationships you had, the men you married and divorced, whether it comes to your ambition, which is something you say the charge sheet talks about, or whether it comes to a lot of people judging you because they thought you were a terrible mother. Right? Let's start with the last. Now, of course, in general, women are always judged, but we're not talking about a normal circumstance here. We're talking about 2 of your 3 children being brought up by your parents. One of them having raped you, and therefore that girl having been born Sheena. We're talking about your son also making allegations against you, saying you wanted to kill him and so on. We're talking about a son who had substance abuse issues, but didn't actually live with you, lived with one of your colleagues separately. Sheena also lives separately from you. A lot of people might ask, and the book didn't fully explain that, I thought, so I'm asking you. Even when they discover that they're your children and not your siblings, they don't actually live with you. They live separately. Why is that?
Actually, these were choices which were made by them as adults. So people decide to live wherever they want to live. And I was a working woman. I used to work 20 hours a day. So if, let's say, Mikhail chose to live in Delhi, he was studying here. He was doing his hospitality management in Delhi. That is where he chose to live. And so there was no question of him coming and living in Bombay, right? So similarly, for example, Vidhie studied in the UK, so she lived in the UK. And we've all done that. I think it is not very uncommon for children to really go and live in different places where they pursue their education or their careers. So they don't really have to go to a...
No, I understand that. I'm just seeing these these kids have just re-entered your life as your kids.
Yeah, but she now lived with me for a long time. So, I mean, during her entire phase of doing her university in Bombay, she was very much there. And the only reason she had to stay also at a place in Colaba was because it was very close to her university, to St. Xavier's. That was it. She lived with.
So when everybody looked at you and said, what a terrible mother,
Yeah.
they called you cruel, they called you cold, they called you a killer.
Yeah.
And they obviously said there can be no greater crime than a woman who kills her own child.
And I agree. As far as I think, there definitely cannot be a greater crime than filicide. Or, I mean, I think hurting any human being. That goes even for animals. This world is full of, I am not a vegetarian, but I'm saying that. So I think taking a life is really not acceptable. That is not what we should be doing at any point in life, even for self-defense. So that is a story apart. But I do not believe that I was necessarily, people completely forgot about my case. I don't think the discussions were around the case. The discussions became more about whether I was a good mother or a bad mother, whether I raised my kids well. I, as a woman, it is my choice how I wish to raise my children. I don't tell other people how they should raise their kids. But I realized one thing, that a lot of people, I think, have been very obsessed with me their entire life. And this is
why do you think that is?
I will tell you this. And because there is this lady, and I think you have read it in the book, so I shall not give out the name. Let the readers read it. So she's even gone on record in a CBI statement. When the CBI asked her, she's from the television industry, at least she was, now she's long past and gone, but she was asked which was the first organization you worked for. And she said, I can't remember. But she seemed to have remembered a message apparently that I sent to her in 2002. I don't remember sending her any message because, but anyway, maybe I have. So that is when I realized, I said, I have never gone out with this woman anywhere. She worked in the same company as Peter. And I think she came to my wedding. I think she did, yeah. And that was out of the many guests that we invited. And that was the only thing that I ever had with her. But when I came out of prison, what I saw was, obviously, I could tell that she was interviewing the same day with probably hundreds of channels because she was in the same attire. And I think it was her moment in the sun. And she kept giving interviews after interviews. Towards the end, she was panting. She was out of breath. So that is when I was thinking, I said, why is this woman talking so much about me when she knows she doesn't even know me?